this lesson, we'll do single row subquery that can be used in having statement when we want to aggregate filtering. Let's see an example. Category that the average unit price is higher than the average unit price in category 5. Now we are talking not about a row, but about aggregate field. Aggregate field that if we have average, count, sum, mean, max, so on. So when we want the category to be that the average unit price is higher, average is having. From the average unit price of products in category 5, this is the subquery, what we get that for each of category ID, now we have unique category ID because it's aggregated by the category ID. We have the average unit price that is higher than the average unit price of category 5. The average unit price of category 5 is 20.25. And we see that all of the average unit price are higher than this value. Let's see it in the SQL server. So here we have the query. Let's run it one by one. First of all, let's do select asterisk from the products. And this is the entire row of the product. What we want from here is the category ID. And for each of the category ID, we want the average unit price. Let's run only the unit price and see what we get. We get the category 1, we have 2 of 18, 30, and so on. Even let's do order by the category ID. Let's say descending. Or ascending, it's better. We have 12 rows of category 1, and this is the entire unit price they have. Now what we want is only one row of category ID, and the aggregate field will be average. We write here average and call it as average unit price. Now when we do aggregate field, we need to add group by and add category ID. Now we get from category ID 1 only one row with the average, and for category 2 only one row with the average. Let's run it. This is what we get. We get category 1 with average of 37, category 2 with average 23. But what they ask us is that we want the average to be higher than the average of category 5. What is the average of category 5? Is 20.25. Now if we do a filtering of aggregated function, we'll do having average unit price. We want to filter the aggregate. Remember, after having we must insert aggregate field, average, count, max, mean, sum, and so on. We want it to be higher than the average unit price of category 5. So we want to be higher than 20.25. But we can't write this. We need to write a subquery because we can change it. Next time we want category ID 6, 7, so on. So instead of checking them and write the value that can change over time, we just write the category. What we need is to add a subquery. Select. We want the asterisk from the product table. What we want from here is the average of unit price. Of what? Where now pay attention that we filter the rows. If I write not the average unit price, I write category ID and unit price. Let's run only this. We have categories and unit price, but I just want to filter rows that they have the category ID of category 5, where the category ID is 5. For this, I want to do an aggregate function. It means I want to do average of the unit price. Let's do group by the category ID. What we get is the average of all these values. Now let's run this. And we have the average 20.25. This is the average we want. We don't need to write the category ID because we know it's filtered only by one category ID, so we can erase it. And the group by. And instead of this value, when running the subquery, we get this value. So we just need to add parentheses and insert the subquery. Now inside we get the average unit price we want, and on the main query we'll get all categories that their average unit price is higher than this number. It doesn't mean that we get category 85 because we didn't filter it by category 85. We just filter it by the average unit price of this category. Now the filtering is of the average price. Average price will be higher than 20.25. When running it, we get only average unit price that are higher than 20.25. We see from all categories that they have the unit price with average of the prices that are higher than the number 20.25.